Welcome again. My name is Susan Proctor, and I have the pleasure of serving you and our alma mater as Director of Alumni Relations at GVSU. So it's a pleasure to see so many of you joining us today for our first ever GVSU Alumni Travel Program information session. So today you'll have an opportunity to learn a little bit more about our inaugural trip that is departing this fall to Sedona, and also get a bit of a sneak peek to our spring 2025 trip, which we are planning to Ireland. So we're very excited to be launching this program and to launch both of these trips, which we hope will be the first of many more to come. This travel program and these series of trips are part of our commitment to you all as Lakers for a lifetime. Grand Valley is dedicated to walking alongside of each of you and all of our alums throughout every stage of your life. And we thought, what more of an adventurous way to continue your journeys as lifelong learners than by traveling the world and connecting with fellow Lakers. So welcome. Thanks for joining us. And it now gives me great pleasure to introduce the star of the show today, our presenter, Tracy Schenk. Tracy is the Business Development Manager with our partnering organization who will help coordinate our tours to come from Premier World Discovery. So I will turn it over to you, Tracy, and welcome.
Thank you, Susan. I'm honored to be here. Thank you all for joining me as well. This is a very exciting partnership. And just so you all know where I'm coming from, I'm in Michigan as well. So I am here. I'm in Livonia area. And it's the amazing thing about virtual meetings now is that we are able to meet from wherever. So welcome. I'm going to go ahead and get started through my PowerPoint presentation. And as we mentioned, there's lots of things to talk about. If you have questions, please type them in the chat. And then at the end of the meeting, I will open up for, if we miss any, we'll answer all the questions in the chat and then open up for more if people think of anything else. So write those questions down, make sure that we get them answered for you. So I will go ahead and get a start here. And hang on one second, my remote. Of course, there we go. So again, we are excited about this new partnership. I'm all over the state of Michigan. I do work with other colleges and universities in Michigan and partner with them for years. So this is something new and exciting that we're doing together. A little bit about myself. I was born and raised here. I have 3 kids. I have had a passion for travel since I was just a kid, and it stuck with me. So I have been doing this now, the group travel industry, for 34 years, dating back to, I think I started in 1990. So it's been very exciting. And I've had lots of wonderful opportunities in my life to see some pretty great things. So let me tell you first a little bit about Premier World Discovery. You may not have heard of us. We are actually just hitting our 25 years this year. And we're new in Michigan, so to speak. They never had a business development manager in the state of Michigan. They have been asking me for years to join, knowing that I've got all this experience, and I have joined the company almost 3 years ago, and it has been amazing. I'm all over the state working with, active 50+ travel clubs all over. But the company itself is based in California and Redondo Beach. And I tell you that only because if you need to contact them, you got to remember they're on California time, right? 3-hour time difference. Again, 25th year, not 24th year. Sorry about that. All these important travel affiliations are really, really our backbone and give us that strength and let you know that we have a really good, strong backing with these. These are all the top affiliations you want in our industry. We do about 80 worldwide destinations and growing. I mean, every year we're adding destinations, adding our passenger counts, and 2023 was actually our biggest year in history, which is amazing right after these past few years. So on the left, this is our trip together last year, our outside team and inside team. We're all here to help you. I mean, I'm a great support person. Like, I'm all about, preparing you and talking about the tours, but even our inside staff, if you have questions, anything about your invoicing, they're always there to help. And let me explain a little bit about group travel, something that makes it unique. We, as a company, are a group tour operator. We will never, ever market you at your home individually, come after you with marketing, email you, try to solicit you, will never happen. Our partnership with Grand Valley State University alumni is the key to you working with us as a partner, right? And another unique thing about this type of travel, if you've never done it before, it is so hands off for you. Like, we do all the planning, we take all the worry on, we put everything together, your airfare, everything is all included. The tours, you know, there's so many things about it that make it great, but importantly, every piece of the puzzle on every tour, every meal, the bus, the air, the hotel, is all discounted individually, every puzzle piece, which then gives you a really good value. And that's the best thing about this. And of course, you get to travel the world and meet new people and experience new things. So it's a wonderful way to travel. We do offer travel protection, which is available on every tour, and I will talk about that at the end of the trip. But if you're a seasoned traveler and you have your own insurance, that's absolutely fine. We just have it offered. About 2 weeks prior to any trip that you go on with me, we are going to do what's called a final document briefing, where I will Zoom with you again and we'll go through every single piece of the final documents together. So you are fully prepared on what to expect. Every tour we offer is done by air. Obviously, we're going to be out of Detroit Metro, Grand Rapids, or anywhere else. So those of you alumni who are with us today from another state, you don't need to come to Michigan to join this trip. We can fly you from other air cities. All we need to do is let you know what the difference is in air. It might be a little more, it could be a little less, but just want you to know that everyone's welcome. Which also brings me to the point we were talking earlier about guests. This is open to Grand Valley alumni and the community and guests. So if you say you want to travel with a family member or a friend who maybe wasn't an alumni, they're welcome to go as your guest. So that is something to be aware of. Every tour will have a professional tour director from start to finish, meaning when you arrive at your destination until you leave, they are with you 24/7, same hotel and everything. And that's their job, to make sure they manage everything for you. And then when you get to your destination, you will also be traveling via deluxe motor coach with a great driver, and the driver and guide become like a team together and take you through. Every single trip that we offer has breakfast daily included, as well as multiple dinners. There's always a welcome dinner, a farewell dinner, and a couple other meals sprinkled into the middle, depending on where you're going. And we also love that you have the opportunity to experience some of the local cuisine on your own. And then I found some of these pictures. Let the fun begin. I am a lover of travel, whether it's domestic, international, a short trip, a big trip. I think it makes people happy, it enhances your life, and absolutely gives you the opportunity to have some new experiences in your life and learn some new things and enjoy. So I'm going to start with our Great Trains and Grand Canyons tour. This is a fantastic first step into the travel world. This is our #1 selling tour, and it has been for the past 22 years. I love it. I've done it. It is magnificent. Well-oiled machine. It runs great. People come back happy. And it happens to be this year, October 27th through November 1st, 2024. So certainly I will go through the itinerary and explain it all to you. This particular tour is popular for a couple reasons. One is that if you notice the 5 in the center of the map, that means you are staying in Sedona for 5 nights, 1 hotel, unpack once, and then it's called a hub and spoke. You hub and spoke from that central location. You fly into Phoenix and then obviously travel to Sedona. So on the tour activity level, this is a 2, meaning it's pretty easy to get around. For those of you who maybe have a little bit of mobility issues, won't be a problem at all. 8 meals included on this trip. And again, flying round trip to Phoenix from your home airport. And then when you arrive at the airport, your tour director greets you in the baggage area and then brings you to the motor coach. I actually took this picture myself to give you an idea of what it looks like when you load the bus, and we have a lovely motor coach. And again, you arrive Phoenix, meet your tour director, hop on the bus, and then our first stop would be Old Town Scottsdale. Now, the drive to Sedona is about 2 hours. So in about 20 minutes, 30 minutes into your drive is the lovely town of Scottsdale. I love it. We take it to the Old Town area. And while you're driving, everything's fully narrated. Then you'll have some free time here to explore and have lunch, right? We can't check in until 3 in Sedona, so this is the perfect spot. I actually discovered this the old Adobe Mission. The bus dropped us off, and I kind of went exploring, and I found this treasure. It's a historic mission there right in town. So I like to walk around and find some of those things. And of course, the beautiful fountains. The Arabian horses are bred and raised there in Scottsdale, so they're very proud of that as well. And then we travel through to Sedona. What's neat about the drive is your guide will talk about even like the landscape changing, because you're changing elevations. So the landscape, the trees, the plants all change multiple times as you change elevations. And then you arrive to this red rock country. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I went my first time into this area and I was very moved. I had no idea that it was so magnificent. I mean, these red rocks swallow you up in Sedona. It is unbelievable. So we'll arrive in town in the afternoon, check into your hotel. Now, we don't know which hotel you will be staying at yet, but these top 3 pictures are 3 of our hotels. We have the Hilton on the top left, the Marriott Courtyard in the center, and in the top right corner is the Poco Diablo. And we've added another new hotel as well, all within a quick distance to downtown Sedona. And then we have our welcome dinner, which is a lot of fun, the opportunity to meet everybody and, kind of sit around and get your bearings. And then the next morning after breakfast, we're going to take you on a tour of Sedona, but by trolley, because, we want to get you off the bus, give you a little bit of a unique experience, and have a local guide who drives the trolley through town and kind of gives you the history. You learn about everything from the landscape to geology to the history of Sedona itself, and learn about all the rock formations and the names. And I mean, it's absolutely magnificent, like nothing you'll see anywhere. The airport mesa surrounds the town of Sedona, and this is known as one of the most energy-filled areas in the country. This wonderful energy and fresh air. It's awesome. Bell Rock, a very famous rock that you'll see multiple times as you're on tour. I actually had a group on my trip that went and hiked Bell Rock, which I thought was really great. Also on the trolley tour, you're going to see some sights and sounds that are really popular and kind of iconic in the town, one of them being the Chapel of the Holy Cross. This was quite a surprise. Now, you couldn't get up there with a motor coach. So again, these are things that a lot of places we can't go by bus, we can go by trolley. So believe it or not, the trolley will get up into that parking lot. This is the backside of the Chapel of the Holy Cross. The trolley gets in that little tiny parking lot and backs in, and you walk up and you get the opportunity to go inside the chapel. And again, whether you're religious or not, it's truly a sight to see. The view is absolutely amazing, and you'll learn about the history of this and visit the gift shop as well. And then we head back to Sedona into town after the tour for lunchtime. So during lunchtime, you are free. We just kind of, hey, meet back at this time, and everybody goes off, and whether you eat and then shop, whatever you want to do, Sedona is an artist colony. That's kind of like, I like to call it like an artist town, very eclectic, filled with crystal shops and pottery and art galleries and just, oh my gosh, everything you can imagine. The town is just awesome. But there is an optional tour for those of you who are a little bit daring. Those of you who don't take the option, you can stay in town, and this is something you purchase when you get there. You do not have to do this in advance. It's something you can do kind of spur of the moment. If you see these pictures, I'm just going to tell you a little story. This is my mother on the far left. My mom is 86 years old. She in the middle, those are all her friends, took this tour last October. The weather, as you can see, the sky is just beautiful. And they loved it. It's just great. And if you can see me, I don't know if you can see me in the right picture, but I'm on the far right. And I was there in April. So October skies are even more beautiful, but they had a great time, and it's a lot of fun. This picture's a little deceiving because I don't remember us going that much off-roading, but the Jeeps will take you where cars can't go and buses can't go and people don't go, right? It's kind of off the beaten path, and you get some really spectacular views and pictures. You get off the Jeep and take some pictures in that as well. Once we're done with the Jeep tour, we go back, pick up the rest of the group, get back on the bus and head over to Tapakalaki. So this is another village just minutes from town. I love this. This was a kind of filled with courtyards. There was a gentleman playing flute sitting in one of the courtyards. There's bookstores, coffee shops, more galleries, things like that. A lot of our people really just found a nice park bench and enjoyed the view, right? It's a lovely, lovely place to visit. And even across the street from Tapakalaki was, for those of you who love crystals and spiritual things, there's a really amazing store right across the street from this as well. The next morning, which is day 3, we get up, have breakfast, and we're going to take you through some of the most beautiful drive in all of Arizona, which is the Oak Creek Canyon area. So you'll see more red rocks and rivers and things on our way to Williams, Arizona. So this is, if you see the sign there, it says Gateway to the Grand Canyon, 1881. So Williams, Arizona has this lovely historic train depot. We are going to get off the bus, go into the depot. There's a gift shop, coffee shop, restrooms before we load the train. This is the only early morning on the tour because we're going to catch this train, because instead of taking the bus to the Grand Canyon, you are going to take the historic train ride from Williams to the Grand Canyon. So welcome aboard. You'll meet the conductor and you'll take this wonderful drive. It's about, I think it was about 2 hours. I had some snacks with me and took pictures and enjoyed a little bit of light entertainment. There was this gentleman who was a little hokey but fun, got everybody laughing, and we had a great time. They were serving water. It was just great. And we cruised through the canyon, and then we arrived at the south rim of the Grand Canyon. So once you get there, the train lets off and your bus is waiting for you. So you get off the train, you hop on the bus, and the bus takes you up to the viewing platforms. So up at the top of the South Rim is this like row of historic resorts and things and restaurants, and there's a museum and of course, beautiful viewing platforms. So here you go. If you've never seen it, I was moved to tears. If you've seen it, as you know, you can look at Grand Canyon 1,000 times over, and truly it's magnificent. I do recommend binoculars because there are people, you can see people down in the bottom of the valley, and it's incredible. So this stone wall goes about to maybe to your thighs. So this little stone wall goes all the way across this maybe a half a mile long. And then it just drops off right to the Grand Canyon. So I sat there and cautiously took my picture, but it was great. After we're done there, we load the bus and take you to the second viewing platform, which is not far from, the other edge there. And again, to get just different perspective and different views of the Grand Canyon. All just awesome and amazing. Then after that, we head to Flagstaff, Arizona, and for the evening, and we're going to have dinner at a place called Black Bart's, and it's a steakhouse saloon. Old West Theater is what it's called. And I won't give away too many secrets, but the wait staff are all students of the Performing Arts University that's in town. So just to give you an idea, that's a lot of fun. That dinner is very entertaining. Day 4, we wake up, we have breakfast. Our days normally are going to start about 9 o'clock, something like that, 8:39, not too early. Our first stop on day 4 is going to be at the Montezuma Castle National Monument. This to me was incredible. These are the cave dwellings of the Sinagua people, the native, Americans that lived in these lands. And imagine that in, the dead of the summer, right? Living in these dwellings. Well, back in when Teddy Roosevelt was president, back early in our time, he recognized that this was a treasure. Like these needed to be protected. So he declared this as something that needed to be protected. It became a national monument. So this has been protected for a very long time. So at this visit, there's a gift shop. There are kind of viewing, I don't know what you call them, like screens that talk about the history of the Sinagua people and how they lived and how they lived in these caves and that as well. It's beautiful. The area is lovely. There's water around and you'll learn about their life and how they survived. Jerome, Arizona, we will stop afterwards. Great story about this National Historic Landmark. This town, you kind of wind up the hill to get to the top. And back in the day, this was a booming mining community, right? I found this picture online, which I thought was fantastic. what it was at one time was people came from California thinking there was gold here, right? There's gold in them there hills, and they found copper. So this was a booming town with thousands of people. And then eventually the mines kind of dried up, everything kind of went away. There was some fires and some tragedies happening here, and then it became a ghost town. So this has got a really great history. So as you see the sign there, it went from 15,000 to nobody, and it became a ghost town. And then at some point, 50s and 60s, I think, some quiet people came in, some creative people came in, maybe some of the people that wanted to kind of live in a quiet place moved in and rebuilt the city. It's got some great shops. There's a great little historical museum there and some other things to visit. And I took this picture of my two guys that bought these canes and walked around. It's just a neat, very, very small town, like 2 streets. After we leave Jerome, we head to the Verde Canyon Railroad. This is also a huge highlight of the trip. Many people in their evaluations have said this was the highlight of the trip because we go in this train. You have a private train car just for premier people, and it has got couches and tables and chairs. There's a bar, and there's music playing, all train music playing, and people just loved it. There's snacks they can purchase, drinks you can purchase, and then there's outdoor viewing cars. So if you notice this outdoor viewing car toward the back, there's a gentleman in a red shirt with a white, like a hat, a wicker hat. He has a microphone and he's narrating everything that you're seeing and where you're going. And you go over, cliffs and trestles, and there's an 800-foot tunnel you go through. It is the most relaxing day. And funny, by the kind of the end of the trip, a lot of the people were sleeping on the couches because it was so relaxing. It's just great. Now, the very next day, which is day 5, you have a day at leisure. So what this means is you have 2 choices. You have a day at leisure, which means you can swim, you can golf, you can relax. A lot of people on my trip wanted to go shopping. Some people wanted to play cards all day with their friends. And there were some people that had relatives that lived in Arizona that came to visit on this day. It was just a really perfect way to kind of take a break from the tour and have a day off. But those of you who want to keep busy, we do have an optional excursion. Again, you do not have to purchase this until you get there. Price wise, I think the Jeep tour is about 100 to 125, and this trip's about the same, maybe about $100 for the whole day, which includes lunch. This is the Sunset Crater Volcano National Monument and Wapaki National Monument with lunch in Flagstaff. So you'll go out, if you take the option, you'll leave about 9 in the morning and come back late in the afternoon, and then you'll get to tour all this, and the guide goes with you and teaches you all about this and a little bit more about the history of the area as well. If you don't go, you're fine to just enjoy Sedona on your own. That evening is our farewell dinner at the Blazin' M Ranch. So we have a chuck wagon style Western dinner show. This is a really cool place. It's a farm. I mean, you literally drive out to a farm, and they have this lovely Western false little town, right? That they've put shops in. There is, some axe throwing and some games and things going on. The picture on the right is actually the live band that was playing when we were there. And then they ring the dinner bell and everybody goes inside, and there's a patriotic sing along, kind of Western show with a little theme. It's a lot of fun, a little bit of laughter and that as well. So that's that's our farewell dinner. And then the next morning, you get up, have breakfast, and then we head back to the Phoenix airport to fly home. So on day 6. So again, it's just a beautifully run tour. It is again October 27th through November 1st. So the price of the tour, it says regular rate, $35.75 per person, double. What that means is everything that I just mentioned, airfare, all that is included in that price. The booking discount price means this: if you can make your final payment by check. So we welcome credit cards. There are no fees to use credit cards whatsoever. But if you're willing to make your final pay, you can pay your deposit by credit card, but if you can make that final payment by check, we will deduct $100 per person off the price of your trip, which will save you a little bit. and thanking you because we eat a lot of those credit card fees, right? And those of you who are single and you want to travel by yourself and have your own room, it is an additional $875 to the price to have your own space, which I travel a lot on my own. So I know people say, oh, that seems like a lot of extra, but it is really just the extra cost of the hotel is where that single comes from. And here is, as I mentioned, by the booking discount. One thing I do want to mention, if you're going to mail anything to Premier World Discovery in California, I do recommend going to the post office or UPS or FedEx and making sure it's tracked. That's my only advice. So again, here's the tour inclusions. This is all listed on the flyer, which I know you can find on the website as well. Everything that I talked about and more, right? This is kind of like a Cliff Notes version of the tour itself, because there's so much that you see and do that is in addition to this as well. Temperatures, I know I get this question a lot. What's the weather like in Sedona? So October to November falls, like you're only there into the beginning of November. So probably in the low 70 range, you're probably gonna fall in temperatures, cooler in the mornings and at night, but perfect for travel time. And also October, in case you're wondering, is the perfect, it's called shoulder season, meaning tourism is over. The students are back to school. Families are done with family vacations. And this is the time when you can go. Things are on sale, right? Things are a little bit quieter, and it is certainly a lovely time to go. So if you are interested, there is really no deadline for your deposit. It is first come, first serve. So we want you to know that you are not the only group on this. We could take 4 people from Grand Valley. We could take 40 people from Grand Valley. It really just depends. We don't know, but it is first come, first serve. So your deposit for domestic trip is $400 per person to guarantee your spot. The travel protection for this trip is $325, but that must be purchased with your initial deposit. So if you want the insurance and the deposit, then becomes $725 to lock in your spot. If you don't want the insurance, it's just the $400. And then of course your travel protection, this is all again on the back of the flyer. I certainly recommend it for peace of mind, or perhaps you have some medical concerns, things like that. But it is certainly something to think about. As you know, as of right now, this trip is fully refundable outside of 180 days, which is 6 months. So 6 months from October 27th, which falls like late April, everything is fully refundable, deposit and insurance. So from now until then, fully refundable. If something comes up, a wedding or a party or something that you didn't realize, make sure to cancel outside that 180 days. Once you get beyond that, the insurance kicks in. And if you have to cancel if you have the insurance and you have to cancel, you would still get your deposit back up until the final payment. You get your $400 deposit back, and then your insurance cost will give you that back at a future travel credit. We've already paid the insurance company, but we still want to get that back to you. If you don't buy the insurance, you do forfeit your deposit up until final payment. Once the final payment kicks in, from then until that departure, the insurance is there, it's in place. If you bought the insurance, you have medically, you are covered at 100%. So if you have a medical emergency up until the day of departure, all we need is a doctor's note, and you would get 100% of your money back, however you paid us. And then, of course, the insurance is non-refundable at that time. So all we need is a doctor's note. If you cancel for any other reason, you would get 75% of the cancellation fees back in a future travel credit. And forgive me for giving you all these details. It's all spelled out on the back of the flyer, but I just like to be very transparent about insurance and how it works. Again, if you have your own insurance, your plan might be better or different or what have you, so please compare. And then our insurance also includes post-departure insurance, meaning trip interruption, baggage delay, travel delay, medical emergency coverage, things like that are also included. And this is all spelled out on the back of the flyer. So I already kind of discussed this. The only thing I want to point out at the very bottom, FTC is valid for 12 months from the departure date and non-transferable. That means future travel credit. So if you had to cancel for any reason, we gave you some type of credit, know that it is good for a year from the departure date, not from the date you canceled. So how do I sign up? So here's the big question everybody wants to know. On the back of the flyer is a registration form. Okay, so you have a bunch of different ways you can register. register. So all, as I mentioned, all the details are on the back of the flyer, which you can find on the website. And I put arrows on there. At the very top talks about who to make checks payable to, which I'll show you in a moment. But if you follow that right column, our flyers are very, very cookie cutter. It talks about the deposit amount, the booking discount, and all the insurance information. And there's a box back there that says cancellation fees if you don't buy the insurance. So please, please read all the details. So here are the reservation options for you. The contact information and mail reservation to us directly. It's not going to Grand Valley State University Alumni Office, so send it to us directly, but to their attention. So the people in our reservation department know which group it's for. Our address is here. It's also on the flyer if you're on the website, or you can pick up the phone and call our toll-free number, again, Pacific, Coast time. And you can book through our reservations department, or simply use our online reservation system, which is also listed on the flyer. And all you need is the web code. And that's all on the very back top of the flyer on the back page. That's how you make reservations. Little bit of a heads up, the Real ID deadline there, I've been talking about this for about 5 years now, I think. They say it's coming May 7th of 2025. So as a travel consultant, it's my job to remind you, don't forget to get the Real ID the next time you renew your license. So your scenic adventure awaits you. I promise you this tour will certainly just be one of those relaxing, wonderful scenic adventures that will, leave you with memories forever. So question, Kyle, did you want to open up? Are there questions in the chat? I can do some about Great Trains before we move on to Ireland. So go on ahead and ask what you got.
There's just two ones that I think we can handle real quick. If anybody else has questions, feel free to drop them in there and we'll address them. One, which you may have mentioned earlier, was how the price changes if flying from an airport other than Grand Rapids.
So if you are from a different airport, it really depends where you come from. It could be a little more, it could be a little less. It depends on which major airport you're coming from. Or if you're coming from a smaller airport, it could be a little more. Price change I've noticed might be $50, $100 more round trip. Or like I said, 50 or 100 less, depending on if you're from a more major airport. Like I know Chicago's less, some of the bigger airports are less. And a lot of that too depends on the distance to Phoenix. So if you are from a different city, please, please feel free to either contact me or our office and get that supplement and we'll let you know. Thank you for asking. That's a good question.
And then just the only other question is if kids are allowed on these trips.
Actually, that would be up to the university alumni. We certainly welcome kids. Our average age traveler on this is probably going to be 70, right? 65 to 70. So it's really up to your group if you wanted to invite kids. But obviously we've had kids and grandkids travel with their grandparents and parents and had a great time. So we do not turn them away. Obviously, we welcome that. It would be up to Grand Valley as well. So.
Our intention is to make these as family and community friendly as possible. So part of our commitment to you is to ensure that we have family friendly activities and that you're traveling with those that you feel safe and comfortable with. We recommend lifelong learning and adventure for all of our folks in the Laker community. So absolutely.
Great. I agree. I think imagine taking a young soul with you, right? Like a grandkid or a child, or even your son or daughter, maybe in their 20s or 30s, and maybe what a wonderful opportunity to finally get to do something together, right? Like this. So great. Well, we'll move on. And again, that trip sells out. So don't wait. If you are interested or intrigued and you want to go, please get yourself registered. So let's look ahead to 2025. Another amazing destination. Susan, I think this was a great selection as well. I have been, and I just again through my years in this industry, I've been to Ireland twice. Would I go back a third time? Absolutely. It is a beloved destination. I think the fact that it's English speaking, it's so friendly, so welcoming, and there's such a magnificent history there that Ireland is our very popular destination that I offer and people really enjoy. So let's talk about our trip next year. Our flyer is not quite ready. We do have all the information up on the website. Our like flyer with your information will be ready soon, but know that this is coming, and you can even get on this trip as soon as the flyers are ready. You can book even now. So this is April 7th through the 15th of 2025. This is a 9-day tour, and it is just beautifully laid out. 12 meals included on this trip, so quite a few, and a lot of variety of things to see and do. So I'm going to go through this with you. And again, keep in mind, this is just an outline of this actual tour because I didn't want to keep you here too long. But you'll fly in, and the first day, we really don't have anything planned because you're kind of jet lagged and getting your bearings, right? But you'll be able to walk into Dublin and enjoy this quaint city, town. I mean, there's parts of Dublin that are like this, narrow streets with shops and pubs. And then, of course, there's big city areas as well. So I threw these in because I want you to understand something. Like, Ireland pubs are not, this is not like a bunch of bars. It's not what, we think of in America, right? This is, the pubs is their life. This is their social life. So as you can see, I picked these because they're all a little bit different. They're colorful, they're inviting. A lot of times you go inside, there's live music playing, all different ages, right? Each pub kind of has its own thing. You'll know when you walk in, it's just the perfect spot for you. And I encourage people to, do as the locals do, right? Whenever you're traveling, do as the locals do. Get in there and get comfortable. Our hotels are lovely. The top and left picture right there, the Camden and the Mespil are our two properties. Great location, very modern American style amenities with a Irish flair, of course. Day two, excuse me. Actually, it's day 3. You're going to arrive and do wake up, have breakfast, and do the city tour of Dublin. So we want you to explore the old and new, right? We want you to see the city from so many different angles. And the famous O'Connell Street is kind of like the heart of town right here. You'll see monuments. You'll see all kinds of. There's a bridge right here. You can't see it in this picture, but there's a bridge, so the river runs through town. The famous Grafton Street, which I kind of like to compare to Rodeo Drive. I was surprised how fancy the shops were, and how some parts of Dublin were so interesting and intriguing. And then you've got your lovely limestone amazing Christchurch Cathedral. That's just an iconic building in Dublin as well, covered in moss, a little bit, I don't want to say creepy, but a little bit eerie, right? And it gives you that just awesome, I mean, look at that ornate, incredible architecture, right? And again, whether you're religious or not, you can truly appreciate the stained glass windows and all the lovely historic architecture. We're going to take you through Phoenix Park, and you'll have an opportunity to kind of get an eye on this lovely area, kind of like the Central Park, right, of Dublin. And then the famous Trinity College. Being an alumni group, you can appreciate a historic university like this. And that water, or that tower that they're walking through, when the kids graduate, they walk through there, they ring the bell, and there's a tradition that if the bell's ringing and you walk through the tunnel, you have a lifelong of prosperity and happiness and things. It's really lovely. We're going to stop at the Trinity College Long Library, the library long room. This was one of the breathtaking. Like this, literally, I think I gasped when I walked in here the first time. And in it is one of my most favorite things I've ever seen in my entire life. Honestly, of all the places I've been, I was so fascinated by this. These are the Trinity Book of Kells. So the 4 Gospels that were hand painted and handwritten by monks, right? And throughout all the hundreds of years of when Ireland was in battle back in the day, they hid these books and protected them. And then, of course, now they pulled them out and they're on display. And they rotate the books, and they obviously do different pages. It's an incredible piece of history to see. We're also going to take you on a whiskey distillery tour and tasting. You can't go to Ireland without these things. So if you're not a whiskey drinker, I get it. You may want to sip a little, or at least smell it and get an idea, but you'll learn how they make the whiskey. And again, this is a huge part of the Irish culture, right? So, and even if you don't drink the whiskey, it is just really cool to learn and see how they do this. The next day, after breakfast, we'll take you to the Guinness Storehouse. So back in the day, this was just an old factory, right? A factory. They didn't, there's nothing to see and do there except factory working and all that as well. They've turned this into their big storehouse. So you'll see the factory and learn how they make Guinness Stout and visit the gift shop and all that as well. But they've incorporated this lovely store and Guinness tasting. If you'd like to taste some Guinness Stout, again, very unique and very different. And again, you might want Irish coffee, you might want, a hot toddy, all the famous things in Ireland. Or if you're not a drinker, it's okay, because it's still, again, it's all around you and it's so welcoming. We're going to head to Limerick. Very, very historic town dating back to the 1200s. A lot of history took place here. You'll see the buildings are stone, very rustic, very like stood the test of time, this town, I think. Here's the lovely St. Mary's Cathedral. Again, those strong, big Gothic structures in Ireland. You'll learn about the peace treaty here that took place in Limerick as well, and see King John's Castle that dates back to the late 1200s, still standing strong as the fortress that's protecting the town, right? We're going to take you to Bunratty Castle. And in Bunratty will be a medieval banquet. So we'll have an opportunity to hear some beautiful Irish music, see a little dancing, and get some laughter and some jokes and just enjoy a nice evening. Our hotel in Limerick will be for 2 nights. The George Hotel right in town. Again, great locations, lovely accommodations. And then day 5. Now this tour does take you over to the southwest region of Ireland on the coast. This, my friends, is the most beautiful, surprising scenery you will ever see. You don't expect this in Ireland, right? These are the Cliffs of Moher. They're over 700 feet high. They go for miles. If you look back in this picture, you can see towns back there to give you an idea of the magnitude of what you're looking at. I mean, honestly, okay, so in the very center of this picture, there's a little like rock looking thing. That's a castle. That'll give you an idea how big this is. Literally, you walk off the bus, you walk over to the edge and you see it. And again, it takes your breath away. It is unbelievable. After we leave the Cliffs of Moher, we'll take you through the Burren County, and this is an area of Ireland that's very mysterious. It's all covered in rock. They don't know why or how or the reason behind this landscape, because Ireland is so green and lush, right? And so everything, and then you hit this, but plants and animals survive in this forbidden area, right? So it's really, really cool. And there's a lot of neat stories about this particular part of the country during history, right? And Viking stories and people, how they tried to cross this area and that as well. We're going to stop in the town of Galway and notice the tallest, most big structure again is the cathedral in town. My grandma is from Galway, so I have, history here as well. Notice the town is surrounded by water. It's a, kind of like a seaport village, but the town itself, a little bit more quaint. Here's your main drag that you can walk and enjoy and meet the locals, do some shopping and have time and lunch in Galway. St. Nicholas Cathedral. And then Ayr Square. Galway, although very historic again, also has a lot of modern structures and things, so you get a chance to see some of the old and new. We're going to make a stop in Adair Village to see some of the beautiful thatched roof cottages and some of the more quaint, these little towns that kind of nestle between the bigger towns, and see their churches and stained glass and cathedrals and history. And again, you walk around and do and see what you want to do. And then we're going to end up that afternoon in the lovely town of Killarney. Probably one of the most favorites in all of Ireland is Killarney. It's where everybody wants to go when they go to Ireland. It not only, as you can see how clean it is and beautifully manicured, the streets are brick, but it is surrounded by the Killarney National Park. So the town is kind of nestled in around this scenery. We're going to take you on a horse-drawn jaunting car ride to get an opportunity to see this beautiful landscape from a different perspective, right? From a horse and carriage. And we're going to drop you off at the Muckross House. So the Muckross House was owned by, I think it was the Herbert family back in the 1800s, I believe, early 1800s, mid 1800s. And this was their summer cottage, right? Summer estate where they wanted to escape the city, but it's been donated. It's manicured beautifully, and you'll have time to walk inside and outside and get the opportunity to explore this beautiful mansion and the gardens as well. We're going to do some Killarney Irish International Entertainment in the evening, give you an opportunity to, again, do some laughing and singing and They love sing-alongs. The Irish love sing-alongs. I'm proud to be a quarter Irish because every time I think about Ireland, it just makes me smile. It's such a happy place. So we're going to be spending 2 nights in Killarney, and our hotels are very quaint and lovely. Like you would picture. Again, you're not going to find the big fancy sky, skyline, huge hotels. You're going to find these lovely quaint properties. And then we're going to take the Ring of Kerry drive. So this is 190 miles of really just, or excuse me, 140 miles of just scenery. So I'm going to show you a few pictures. The Ring of Kerry, this is what the view will look like. Some of the areas you'll visit on this day are areas where people still speak Gaelic. They live in the small villages away from really society and live in these beautiful areas. This is McGillicuddy Reeks, the Dingle Bay Peninsula, also very famous. You'll see out in the water some of these islands and structures out there. It's just amazing. And you don't think of Ireland as having beaches, but they do. So the beautiful beaches, the scenery. We'll stop in a couple small towns and get off the bus, do a little, restroom stop and have shopping time and lunch in Sneem and Waterville as well, and all on the water. The Ring of Kerry takes in Ladies View. This is when you want to have your camera ready, right? And then we're going to, that night, go back to the hotel, have breakfast on day 8. We get up and we're going to work our way back to Dublin. But on our way to Dublin, we are going to stop at the mystical, magical Blarney Castle. And you've probably heard of the Blarney Castle for multiple reasons, but the grounds themselves are, again, mossy, very green, very lovely. We kind of get off the bus and you're on your own. And here's what the inside of the castle looks like. It is just awesome. You can walk around. There's lots of steps and things. So be aware, you don't have to do the steps and take the walk if you're unable, but definitely peek inside the castle and see what it looks like on the inside. And then those of you who, if there's time, I can't guarantee, I don't know how long the lines will be, but if you've ever heard of kissing the Blarney Stone, this is where you do it. The top left corner picture is actually a view of where your head that's the stone, believe it or not. Under those 2 black metal lines, there is the stone. And there is a gentleman whose job is to, or it's usually a gentleman, an Irishman, sitting there to hold you as you go under the stone and kiss the Blarney Stone. It is crazy. And the drop off to the, is the bottom of the castle. So it is quite fun. It's exciting, but you would get the gift of, you'd receive the gift of eloquence, right? Or the gift of gab, so they say. And I've done it twice, so I talk a lot. Maybe that's why. But that night we head back to Dublin. And as we head to Dublin, we're going to check into a castle hotel. Now, keep in mind, one part of this hotel at one time was a castle, and then, of course, they've expanded upon it. So you have the castle section and the new section, but we have the Clontarf, Fitzpatrick, and I think there's a couple others that we use as well. But lovely way to spend your last night. And the reason we're doing that is because you're flying out of Dublin. We don't want to risk getting you late to the airport or hitting traffic, or because there's no highways. There's no big fancy highways in Ireland. Everything is pretty, slow moving in small highways. So we want to get you there, spend your last night, and have your farewell dinner together and that. Now, those of you who that tour can end there after 9 days, you're welcome to be done and fly home and be happy. However, those of you who would like to extend a little longer, we do have a 2-night, 3-day Belfast post-tour extension. So the guide stays with you. You're not on your own. The bus and the guide stay with you. And then you load up and everybody else flies home. And then your tour keeps going. If you want this extension, this must be booked with your initial deposit. So you got to let us know from the beginning if you want this. Belfast tour rate is $899 for the double plus $400 for single. But keep in mind, that's 3 days. Breakfast, sightseeing, tour guide, everything. It's a really good value. So I'll show you a few quick pics of Belfast. So you'll do a full city tour. So this is day 9. So after everybody flies home, you head to Belfast, check into your hotel, and then we do, we have a full city tour of Belfast included on the option that takes in the Belfast Castle. What you have to remember about Belfast is back in the day, this town took there's a lot of battles and things that took place here in history. So a lot of this is old and new. And I think the City Hall is probably one of the most beautiful buildings you'll find anywhere in Ireland. And of course, the Cathedral of St. Anne. But one of the things people really love about this extension is the Titanic Museum. This is the Titanic Museum of anywhere in the world, right? And if this fascinates you or intrigues you, they have this amazing replica of the staircase, right? Like you see in the movie, and then treasures that you would see. And they show you what the cabins would have looked like if you were wealthy versus the working class, right? Like we know and we've heard of history. And then of course articles and things that have been found in treasures. So it's quite awesome. Another amazing part of this tour is the Giant's Causeway. So the Giant's Causeway outside of Belfast is a mystery. They don't really know why the landscape looks like this. I mean, there's been talk of like volcano erupted and it ended up like this, or alien beings have placed these. I mean, there's so many interesting, fascinating stories about why it looks like this, but you'll have an opportunity to go to the visitor center and make your own decision on how, what you think that this all is. It's quite amazing, really. So this trip is going to be, oops, I'm sorry, those dates are wrong. Please forgive me. This trip is April, comes in April, and this pricing is correct. And I please forgive me. I know I have it wrong here, but this trip goes April, I think around the 10th, early part of April. And the regular rate, I've looked at this PowerPoint 1,000 times. I cannot believe I did not catch that. I am so sorry. April, the regular rate on this is $45.25. And with the booking discount of $100 per person off, you're at $44.25 if you make that final payment by check. And then the single supplement is only $750 for this trip because the hotels are not as expensive. And Susan, if you have those exact dates, I just can't, I don't have it written down, and I feel so bad about that. But
I
staying
dropped
on
them
this
in
trip,
the chat, but it's April 7th through the 15th.
thank you, April. I knew it was the early April 7th through the 15th. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Susan. So first come, first serve. Deposit for international program is $600. Or excuse me, yeah, deposit $600. Final payment is due 90 days prior. The reason for that is Great Trains and Grand Canyons, final payment 75 days, but starting next year, we've had to move that up because of the airlines changing their policies, expecting final payments due earlier. So this final payment will do 3 months prior to April. So what would the be? January, but January, like the beginning part of January. So just be aware of that. Travel protection is $399, and again, that must be purchased with your deposit. So if you're going to purchase the insurance, then your deposit becomes $399. And if you decide to go to Belfast, you're really just checking that off on your form, but you do not need to purchase that in advance. Okay, passports are required for Ireland. If you don't have a passport, don't wait. We just got passports for our sons. It was fairly quick. It took about 3 weeks, but it can take 4 to 6 weeks or longer. So make sure you get that done. And then your passport must be valid 6 months beyond the trip as well. So check those expiration dates. And then of course, we'd love you to come explore the magic of Ireland. Again, it's a place that is, if you've never been, would truly be a wonderful experience. And then that's the end. So I thank you all for hearing me out. I got through this in less than an hour, so I'll go ahead and turn it over to Susan and see if they have anything they'd like to say in closing, or see if you have any more questions for me.
We did have a couple of questions in the chat. There was one, and I'm not sure which trip, but maybe applicable to any trips. If folks would like to stay and extend, is that a possibility outside of the trip?
Yes, if you'd like to extend, I believe we can do a post or pre up to, I want to say, a week, maybe 10 days. There is a fee to change it's an airline fee, obviously, to change and deviate your air. And I believe that's $150, I believe. If you want to deviate, you need to let us know when you make your reservation, and we can certainly accommodate that for you as well. That's no problem.
Great. If there's any follow-up questions to that, please feel free to drop it in the chat or come off mute. Someone is asking what cabin is the airfare, or what airfare?
We book the main cabin. So, we're not doing the cheapest seats. Obviously, we can't because it's group air. That's a great question. We used to have a lot more control over air, but for groups, but now the airline really kind of tells us where the seats are and all that stuff. However, you will have access to your flights prior to the trip, and you're welcome to, change your seats, adjust your seats, do anything like that. We certainly welcome you to do that. Some people even pay extra to upgrade their seats, things like that. You are certainly welcome to do that on an international trip. Domestically, we cannot do any upgrades for groups, but internationally we can. So if you want to, please let us know and we can help accommodate you when you make your reservation. That's a great question.
Great, and we have a multi part question here, or separate questions from one of our joiners. Are all of the prices shown with the GVSU alumni discount? And yes, that is correct.
Yes.
This is
Yes.
GVSU alumni pricing. Is there a space folks can go to see the trips that you've done in the past or other upcoming trips? I know we've selected a few, but if they're interested in other trips, particularly one to Germany, can they find that on your website?
Yes, on our website. If you were to find a different destination on our website that you're interested in, be sure to let them know. Like if you were to book something else, you're welcome to do that, but let them know you're with Grand Valley State University alumni, because you will get that group discount per se, because you are under their umbrella, versus if you just call and book and we'd like to do this. Make sure you let them know, because it's a different, it's definitely a benefit for you to let them know you're under a group that's already a partner with us.
And if there are suggestions on other locations that any of you would like to go, I'll drop our email in the chat as well. But certainly, we've selected a few to pilot. This is a brand new program for us. So any of the other trips that are coming up or they've done in the past would not have been through Grand Valley, as this is a new partnership and offering. But we are partnering with a well-established travel agency that comes with high regards. And so I know there's other information, but we're very open to hearing where you want to go and how we can help you get there. So happy to have that. I just dropped our general email in the chat. So always happy to hear from folks about interest areas. And as we continue to explore opportunities and see if there are groups that are interested in going in future, right? Thinking about guided tours to places of interest, if we can bring faculty to help add to what is already a well organized and informative trip, those are things that we are certain to open to exploring in the future. So if there are other questions, please feel free to raise your hand, drop them in the chat, or let us know later. We do plan on sending a follow-up email to those of you who are with us today, as well as others that are interested. So without further ado, and in interest of time, please just join me in thanking Tracy. Tracy, you have infectious energy, and thank you so much for sharing the details about these trips with us and being our partner. I'd like to express my gratitude to all of you that are here and joining us for your interest in staying connected to Grand Valley and our programs. Keep your eyes open for the follow-up email with details. Again, I did drop some links in the chat here, but gvsu.edu/alumni/travel is where you can find all of the information, or feel free to give us a call. We're happy to send brochures your way and let you know when that Ireland brochure is coming up. So lastly, and as always, you can find more great resources and things that are planned for you from GVSU Alumni Relations at gvsu.edu/alumni. Kyle, my colleague, and I know Tracy will be willing to hang on if there are some last minute questions for just a couple of moments here, but really appreciate your time and your interest and look forward to seeing some of you this fall or in Ireland next year. So